You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
This is the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where we hang out and talk about everything from hammocks and hammock camping to the group hangs from around the country. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hammock Hangers Podcast. I am your host, Paul Collins, or also known as Skunkape. This week, I have brought AJ Lynn, or Pheonix, back on. Him and I are going to chat for a little while and basically do a trip report because both of us, I've been gone for the past 2 weeks doing the Woods Hole weekend. That was during the weekend, well, let's see, from October 6th to the 9th. And then the following weekend, from the 13th to the 16th, AJ and I both were at the South Carolina Fall Sprawl that was hosted by the Palmetto State Hangers in South Carolina. So we just want to basically talk about those trips and do a brief trip report. So starting off, I will talk about the Woods Hole weekend. Great time. It was Mighty Blue, Jester, Clay Bonham and Evans, and Austin from Side Trail Adventures YouTube channel, and myself. We was up there. We started off on Thursday at Weary Feet. Met up with several of the guests that were coming up to learn about either section hiking or through hiking the Appalachian Trail. We went out and hiked the 2 miles from Weary Feet to Dismal Falls and had a presentation down there about Leave No Trace. Sat around camp, talked about setting up, hanging bear food, your bear bag, the proper way to hang it, PCT style. Just had a wonderful night. Temperatures were great. A lot better than down here in Florida, I can tell you that. Woke up the next morning and hiked back to Weary Feet, had lunch there, and sat around and chatted for just a little bit more. And then we got in our vehicles and drove to Woods Hole Hostel, which is near Parisburg. And Woods Hole Hostel is ran by Neville Harris. I'm sure a lot of y'all probably know of Woods Hole Hostel. And if you don't, and you ever decide to get out and hike the Appalachian Trail, that should be a place that you want to stop. Very great place. We finished off the weekend there, going over all sorts of stuff, from, what's in your pack to, talking about the debunking the myths that you might hear about, different parts of the Appalachian Trail as far as, Katahdin closing on October 15th, I think it is, to, Virginia being flat and everything else. I went over hammocks, of course, myself. We actually even had one person there. Her name is Debbie Parsons Holt. She's actually from Brooksville, AJ.
That's right down the road from HangCon.
Yep. She was actually at HangCon last year.
Oh, cool.
Going to be there again this year. She's very excited about getting in a hammock. But so once um, once Woods Hole weekend finished up and everything, I headed down to South Carolina and met up with AJ at Fall Sprawl.
So before we jump into I guess talking about Fall Sprawl, I got some questions on Woods Hole weekend. I'm
Sure.
not familiar with this particular event. So what type of people would usually come to this particular event?
Most of the people that come to Woods Hole, they are coming because they have ambitions to either through hike or section hike, mainly the Appalachian Trail, but other long trails also. But they're not sure of how to really get started. Some of them have never even set up a tent and been out, in the woods camping at all. So, they're coming to learn as much as they possibly can, before setting out to fulfill one of their dreams.
Okay. So the people that come, it's more a strictly hiker-esque crowd.
I wouldn't say strictly that. And the reason being is, one of the couples that came up there, the wife, she is the one that, is wanting to through hike the trail, but her husband came just so he could help, get his mind at ease about her going by herself.
Oh, okay.
So, he was there to listen to us all, talk and tell our stories, talking about how you might go out there to hike by yourself, but you're never really alone, type thing. And, just hearing all of our stories helped ease his mind so that, he wasn't going to be as worried about his wife being out there, hiking the trail. Because, like he said, he straight up told us that, he has no ambition whatsoever to get out there and hike himself. He wasn't a hiker, but his wife loved it. And so he wanted to support her any way possible, but at the same time, ease his mind.
So when you did your hammock demo for this particular event, what type of reception did you get as far as using a hammock and tarp as a shelter versus the traditional tent?
I think it went pretty good, actually. I showed, different styles of hammocks. I wanted to show everything from like my Clark hammock, the heavier hammock, all the way down to the lighter hammocks, which, I did show my Cloud 71 hammock, but also, let them, know that was a very, very light hammock that you had to be very careful with. But, I had my chameleon set up because that's what I stayed in while I was there, and took everybody out and let, any of them that wanted to, lay in it to see, how comfortable it was and everything else. And there was a couple of them that were pretty interested in it.
Awesome.
Even Mighty Blue laid in the hammock, and he told me afterwards he's going to be at HangCon this coming up year also in 2023, and he told me he was very interested in a hammock because he's getting tired of crawling in and out on his hands and knees to get in and out of his tent every morning and every night. Amen.
I know that we've converted Jester. Hopefully we get some more. Well, that's really cool that you have some events for people that are new to hiking. Yeah, wow, I mean the AT is a big dream for a lot of people, but just taking that first step. I know my wife. Whenever we are, traveling up the East Coast, she's always looking for, just sections, anywhere between 10 to 15 miles that she can go out and do. But to have an event like that where you're not just, hiking throughout the day, that you are actually spending, in some cases, weeks on the trail, sleeping on the outdoors. And I think that's really cool that people that may have never camped before, coming in and exploring some of those options. And hopefully they can see hammocks as not just something that you can lounge around in the backyard. It's a very viable, comfort-oriented shelter that you can use for something like an AT hike or a section hike, or even a day hike. It's something really great to have in your pack.
Yeah. And also, like I said, Austin from Side Trail Adventures, he was there, and his task, oh God, I would have died myself, because he was filming everything. And so his pack was loaded down with all of his camera gear and audio gear and all that stuff. And as we was, doing our hike to and from Dismal Falls, he'd run ahead and set up the cameras and, get the shots that he needed and all that. But he was there filming everything so that the guest will be getting a video of the entire weekend and everything. And I think that Mighty Blue has plans to have it somewhere online to where if others want to purchase it to get basically the same classes and stuff like that, the same workshops, they'll be able to. Awesome. I'm not 100% sure what his plans are right now on that or how that's going to work, but I think that's out there. So
awesome. I mean, that sounds like a really, really great event. But unlike yourself, I am not a hiker. Like I tell people, I'm more of a wandering napper. But I mean, about how I know you said that you did some hikes during that event. About how long did you guys hike over the weekend?
Yeah, the hike from Weary Feet to Dismal Falls and then back from Dismal Falls to Weary Feet, it was like 2 miles each direction.
Oh,
so nothing major, which, I mean, it's still, because it's been a while since I've hiked in the mountains.
Not too down here in Florida.
Yeah, I know. It winded me a little bit, but I loved it. I tell you, I got back out there and started seeing those blazes, and the memories from my hike, it was like yesterday.
Oh, I can imagine. Feels like home, huh?
Yes, it did.
I don't know where people get the myth that Virginia is flat. Virginia is, for those that don't know, Virginia is my homeland. That's where I grew up. That's where my soul still calls home. And I've never lived in a flat part of Virginia. So
yeah, no, Virginia, the rolling hills of Virginia.
Yeah,
no, that might have been on the other mountain peak that you're looking at from the Appalachian Trail, but it sure was not the Appalachian Trail.
That must be near Nova, Northern Virginia,
right.
Up 95. That's all.
So that was our weekend there. Great weekend. Can't wait to do it again next year, to be honest with you. I talked about Neville, the owner of Woods Hole. She is one of the most kind-hearted people you'll ever meet. Miss Julia at Weary Feet, the first time I had ever met her, Weary Feet wasn't there whenever I'd done my hike in 2012, but she's awesome as well. Both those hostels are great.
I bet those hostel owners have stories for miles and miles and miles.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Then after I left there, which I hated to do, because I started seeing the fall leaves change. Seeing fall come in.
That's the one thing that I miss. Out of anything I miss from Virginia, it is the leaves.
I have never seen that before.
Really? Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
that was the first time. You know, I mean, in Florida, if you see the trees, you know, the leaves change, it's because the tree died and
Well,
turned
yeah,
brown.
the fall in Florida happened. It goes from green to dead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is no in between. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, it wasn't in full, you know, full swing, but it was just starting to start, and it was weird because it was like you fall asleep, you wake up the next day, and you see more, and then you fall asleep again, wake up the next day, and it's even more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like so it was pretty neat experience. So, and then you know, left there and headed to South Carolina for the Fall Sprawl.
Yeah, Fall Sprawl was an absolute amazing event, which it always is. This is our third hang with the Palmetto State Hangers, and it's one that we will continue to go to every single year.
Absolutely.
It's at Santee State Park in South Carolina, which is a really nice state park itself. It's right not too far past where 26 and 95 kind of merged together, a little bit past that point. It's a really cool site that's right on the water. We stay at the it's called the Cowboy or Cowboy. It's called the Boy Scout Camp Loop. So I guess the Scouts use this area quite a bit as well. And it's
Yeah,
right.
I think that's mainly what that site is for, is the Boy Scouts. I know they use it a good bit from what Heather told me.
I will say, like, after staying in the group site versus going to the actual campground part of it, I much prefer the group site for the views and things like that. Where we usually set up, it's in a clearing, but it overlooks the lake there. And the cool thing about the lake is actually a man-made lake that was done, back in the early part of the 1900s by the Civil Engineer Corps, and they flooded this area. And because of the timing that they had to flood it, they essentially flooded an entire town. So there's this town at the bottom of this lake.
I did not realize that's where that was.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's pretty neat.
I know a lot of people talk about you have to make sure that you're careful with your boat because a lot of the trees are still like underwater, so people tear up their boats if they're not careful. But another cool thing about this area is when you go there, you're not in the middle of absolute nowhere. The town of Santee is just a couple miles away. As Paul and I know, there's a really amazing barbecue place called Lone Star, not too far from the campground that we have visited quite a number of times. But it's really good food. There's also a grocery store a few miles down the road in Santee, and another really great couple restaurants that we explored while we were there. The site selection that we have at Santee is really nice, with the exception of one small detail. There were a slew of hickory nuts all over the ground that were trying
hickory bombs.
Yeah, hickory bombs. Because when these suckers fall out of the tree, it literally sounds like if they hit you in the head, you may have to go to the doctor. And having just the sea of them outside my hammock, I was fully convinced that I was going to roll my ankle at some point during the weekend. But alas, the hickory nuts did not win. I prevailed and ended up walking off the campsite on Sunday unscathed. However, so there were some of us that were not so lucky, a la Cal from Yobo Gear, that had an inopportune nut fall on another similar named body part. So
that was karma.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, the hickory nuts there were probably our biggest challenge as far as site selection. Some of the other sites that were on the group camping area were not near as bad. I just think we just chose a great spot for hickory nuts, but I couldn't imagine camping where we were camping in a tent.
No. I'll take the hickory nuts though, with the view that we had.
Oh, the view! Oh man, sunset in the morning, sunset at night, right on the water. We have a little opening there where the trees are, so we get that nice breeze that comes through at night to cool everything off. I mean, not that the temperatures were bad at all. The temperatures were really, really nice. I think we saw lows in the 40s or low 50s at night. It was really great sleeping weather.
Yeah, I think one night we dipped down into the 30s.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, just one night.
Well, I guess my Loco Libre underquilt did not allow me to realize that because I was roasty toasty warm the entire weekend.
Yeah, I slept great also. Yeah, I had plenty of vendors there.
There were quite a few, yeah.
I know there was Wahala Hammocks.
Love seeing Jason. Jason.
Yobo Gear, of course.
Cal and Kristen are always wonderful people to run into.
God, there was probably 20, 30 Yobo stands scattered out everywhere there.
They were everywhere.
I know Cal set up several of them. I know there was one family that all wanted to hang together in the same area. And so he set up stands to make all that happen.
It really is an amazing piece of gear. If you have just one, it's great. Like I said in my previous episode, I took mine out west. It's great for single person use, but if you have a family, especially with kids that you really need to be close to, it's really a great stand that's easily set up and accommodates a lot of different hanging situations.
Yes, whether you're using the Cricket or the Freedom stand, because I mean the Freedom stand you can use. I mean, if you got at least one tree, you can hang 2 hammocks.
Absolutely.
So you can keep everybody together in that way. Also, if you got a couple of them.
Yeah. It was good to see Chris Gunn again from 2 Speed Hammocks.
Yeah.
Another great vendor, makes some amazing tarp sleeves and accessories, hammock sleeves. We also had a new vendor for us this coming HangCon is Hanging High Hammocks.
Yeah, Trevor. Yep. He has some great stuff also that he makes. I actually ended up buying a Ridgeline organizer from him.
Oh, nice. And say, speaking of being in Virginia, both 2 Speed and Hanging High Hammocks are both from good old Virginia.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, Chris Gunn and I, we didn't know each other until recently, but he lives in a city that's probably about 20 minutes from where I grew up.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. So
we also had Barry from Fire and Ice, and also donating coffee was his partner company, 803 Coffee. Really, really, really good coffee. And Barry's always a hoot to hang around with, and he has some really good.
He is.
He has some really cool merch that he brings to these hangs. He does his own knife works, and he has a lot of outdoor survival gear. And he's got the Cusca cups, which are really, really cool. And I hope I'm not butchering the story, Barry, but his Cusca cups, there's a story behind them. Like you're supposed to give them as a gift, but to soak them in whatever the person that you're giving them to's favorite beverage. So whenever they drink from it, they smell that scent, and it just helps them remind them of you. So Paul, anytime you want to soak a Cusca cup in a thing of Dalmore 12, I would really appreciate that.
I was fixing to ask you where mine was.
I mean, I think I brought yours in, but I think I had to go wee in the middle of the night. I mean, so you didn't get that one. You didn't get that
one. What are friends for?
Let's see. We also had another really great vendor. It's more specific to that area, and that is Blue Way Adventures, and they specialize in, I believe, canoe and kayaking trips, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They led a nighttime kayak paddle.
Yeah, that was on. That was Saturday night, I think it was.
Yeah.
Saturday night, several of them went out and done a nighttime kayaking trip.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun for people that really kind of dig that water adventure and water type of activities. By the time they had left on that Saturday night, it was about time for me to mosey onto my hammock.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking to say. If I wasn't already asleep, I'm sure I would have gone.
Yeah, unfortunately, because I try so hard when I go to these hangs, is to take a nap. Because one of the cool things for those of you that have not ever been to a hang, it's probably one of the only places that you can go where laziness is actually encouraged.
Right.
They're going to look at you a little bit weird if you don't take a nap at some point. So that's another thing that makes these hangs like really, really cool. Like napping is encouraged. Napping is definitely encouraged.
Can't forget the midnight bacon too.
Oh yeah, midnight bacon. Oh, and I mean, I know Skunk, you're not a huge fan of this, but me and Jason from Walhalla, we have our Scrapple time. If anybody have not had Scrapple, I thoroughly enjoy it. Jason thoroughly enjoys it, and if you don't, then you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah, no, I know what I'm missing. I will let y'all. I will gladly let y'all have my share.
Yeah, it's horrible. No one should eat it. No one should eat it. We should just save that for me and Jason. And we also got to see Barry or Cajun. I know he was on a few episodes back, but our vendor hooer that
no, I haven't had Barry on yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I'm gonna have him on here shortly though.
Okay. See, when I was driving to South Carolina, I just binge listened to our podcast as well as the HYOH podcast. So
yeah, he was on that one not long ago.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, he was on HYOH with it was him, Barry Van Meter from Fire and Ice, Anne Marie, and
Yobo, Cal and Kristen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a really great episode too, because I really enjoyed that one because for one, I've gotten to meet all of those people in person with the exception of Anne Marie. But with Anne Marie, I talk to her quite frequently, and there's a whole group of people that in the hammock community that I thoroughly respect and are really great for our community.
Yes. Had the gears with it. I think they call it the garage sale.
Garage sale, yeah.
Garage sale.
Yeah, there was a lot of like really cool things that if you're really looking for a way to get into hammock camping, but let's not beat around the bush. Some of our gear that we have, it's kind of expensive if you buy it new, and seeing some deals that you can get on some used gear is always really, really great. That'll also be something that we have at HangCon as well. So if you have gear that you need to get rid of, or you're finally going to appease your spouse by saying, yes, I am going to get rid of some of these hammocks that I've replaced 3 or 4 times over. Yeah. So if you're coming to HangCon, definitely bring your stuff to sell. It's a great time there. I listed some things and laid some things out at the Fall Sprawl, and I sold a few things and had some things to throw back into my truck that I'll hang out at HangCon as well. They also did a raffle, which we kind of see at some of these bigger hangs. The raffle is always a really great time, right,
I
Paul?
just don't.
You
I
do
just
really
always
well at
donate.
these rifles. Yeah,
I never win. I just donate.
See, here's the thing, folks. See, 2 years in a row, Paul has been insistent that he has he never wins anything. He's just a complete loser. He never wins anything. He just donates. He just donates.
Yeah.
However, for those that haven't been there, they do their raffle in tiers where they have a tier one, which is kind of their smaller level prizes with, anything from like cookware to permethrin or, a freeze dried meal, smaller things under like $20-$50. And then they have their upper tier items. And, that's when we get into like the Yobo stands and quilts and cottage vendor hammocks and stuff that, can be a few $100s. And 2 years in a row, Paul has been the second ticket drawn in this category. 2 years in a row. Exactly. And so, of course, he didn't end up with the Yobo stand, which immediately goes first. However, Paul, since you are the biggest loser that I know, please tell the people what you just happened to win this year.
Well, I actually got lucky, since I don't ever win.
Ever.
And this year, the big item that I won was a top quilt and under quilt. It was a 0 degree set from Cedar Ridge Outdoors,
which is another vendor that we absolutely love.
Yes, CRO is great.
If you ever get to hang out with Cedar Ridge Outdoors and Jacks Are Better together and Pickle, it is an amazing time. Forget the fact that they make really, really awesome gear. Hanging out with those guys is just an epic event. It would make me want to go to a hang just to hang out with them.
I think that's one of the things that I like the most about these hangs is, you get to meet, the ones that make your gear and everything else, but to be able to sit around a campfire and just hang out with them and cut up and everything else, at a totally different level. It's not, it's like
you're meeting just one of us.
Yes, not a company that's you're just buying stuff from. You're more of a friend level.
Oh, absolutely.
You're seeing the real side of everybody.
And you kind of fanboy out a little bit too. I remember my first hang con and coming in and seeing Dutch for the first time, and it was literally like, oh man, this is this man that's taken hundreds and hundreds of my dollars, but he makes videos and he makes hammock stuff. He's Dutch. Hey everybody. He's got a tagline that I know. I mean, but like getting to know Dutch, getting to know Cedar Ridge Outdoors, that I a few quilt sets from them. Getting to meet Kyle from Ripstop by the Roll, another guy that owns way more money of my money than I'd care to admit. But yeah, I mean, it's just like you get to talk to them, and it's very important that we reach out to our vendors on their social media and leave them positive reviews if you like their gear. But just to look someone in the eye and say, hey, your piece of gear has made my hammock camping or just my camping life in general so much better. Thank you for your amazing product. Thank you for what you are doing to the community and coming out to these hangs and, getting a chance to, share a drink or some food with these people. Spoiler alert, do not ever take a drink from Richard from CRO unless you plan on only taking one. He makes a mean whiskey sour, but it packs quite a punch.
Yeah, I'll leave that part to y'all. Um, but yeah, and talking about Yobo gear again, just real quick while I'm thinking about it. Anybody that does want to try one of their stands, purchase one. They do still have that discount code, which will get you 15% off on either the Cricket stand or the Freedom stand, two sides. The discount code is Hammock Hangers 15. And like I said, that gets you 15% off. In my opinion, one of the best stands out there.
Absolutely.
The Cricket stand is the only freestanding stand out there, isn't it, AJ?
Yeah, it's the only viable freestanding
right,
stand.
because the others you got to tether down in some sort of way or something.
Yeah. From my experience trying the amount of stands that I have, it really is the only freestanding stand that I would be comfortable staying in and calling it freestanding.
Right.
Talking about the raffle, so one of the cool things about the Fall Sprawl is all the money that they take in from the raffle and from donations, and any money that they raise over the weekend goes to a particular organization called the Sesqui Campout.
Yes, the Sesquicentennial State Park Palmetto Campout.
Oh, okay. And that's a really cool camping event that the folks with Palmetto State support. They have an event. Actually, the event is coming up here in a couple weeks, where they have new to camping families come out, and they provide them a complete setup for them to enter into the not hammock camping, but enter into camping life with a tent, and helps them get set up with some information, some gear, and some ideas of how to do this whole camping life and how to make it fun for your entire family. And they donate to that event, and it's really cool. They were able to raise over $3,300 for that event just from this weekend.
It's awesome. And they also go out and donate their time during this event to help teach and everything also.
Oh, yes. I had forgotten about that. Absolutely.
Yep. So
props to them for helping grow that grassroots groups.
Yep.
Thanks, BFH.
And of course, they're out there, while they're there, talking to them about hammocks as well. Even though, they get supplied a tent and everything from the state park, or from that camp out, I should say. They're still talking to them about hammocks and everything else. But yeah, they all donate their time, to help out there.
Yeah, and moving on, some other things that I want to talk about that happened at the Fall Sprawl is another really cool thing that happens at some of these larger hangs is you've got classes. I am a teacher by trade, and yeah, it's great to watch YouTube videos, which we all have, about different aspects of hammock camping, but to see a live in-person instructor and to see things happen in real life, that's really beneficial to me as a visual learner that I am. And the Fall Sprawl, we had quite a collection of classes. One really cool one that I didn't do this year, but I did the previous year. They had a bannock bread demonstration. And if you're not familiar with bannock bread, it's just a very minimalist, unleavened bread recipe that you can make right out on the trail. And you can make it sweet, you can make it savory, and it's only a couple different ingredients.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. They actually posted it on the Palmetto State Hangers Facebook page.
Awesome.
The ingredients and instructions on how to make it. And it looks like there's only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients to it. And that's it.
So if you're really hankering for a biscuit on the trail, or something to put your Nutella on, or almond butter, or peanut butter on, or maybe even make a little summer sausage and cheddar sandwich. Maybe bannock bread would be something that you'd want to have in your pack.
Yeah, because all of the ingredients, you can mix in a little Ziploc bag and just have it ready. And just whenever you get ready to use it, then you just add a little bit of water to it and then cook it up.
Yeah, they also offered a wilderness first aid class, which is very, very important for you to know out if you're hiking, whether you're day hiking or whether you're just a wandering napper like myself that likes to go camping. Some of those skills are really important for us to know, not necessarily saying that we're going to amputate something in the woods, but really helping you stay alive until the real professionals get there. Our buddy did a knot tying class.
Yeah, Roger Hames.
Yeah, Roger Hames.
He's the one. Roger's the one that done the wilderness first aid also.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Roger's a good friend of ours. We met him last year, and he's planning on coming to HangCon and also running the knots class at HangCon as well. Really awesome guy. Very, very knowledgeable when it comes to all different types of knots that you may need to use not only with your hammock suspension or tarp setup, but also some other very useful knots that you can use within your camping arsenal as well. And finally, you and I also did a ridgeline and suspension system class, which I think is really, really cool. We got really great response from that. And we've got really great response when we've done it at HangCon as well. There's just so many different suspension setups that I think people get overwhelmed with. But seeing them in person, I think really clears up maybe any confusion or really lays to ease some of the unnecessary difficulty people assume with hammock suspensions and ridgeline setup.
Well, going to the hangs and being a part of the classes like that, unlike just watching the YouTube, you get to ask questions.
Absolutely.
And if there's something you're not quite sure about, you can ask and see firsthand, how to do it.
And also, and coming from a teacher perspective as well, sometimes, you could watch a section of a YouTube video 3 or 4 times and still just not get it. But when you go to a class with an instructor there, you can say, hey, I don't exactly understand how this beetle buckle works. So could you show me in a different way? Or maybe I could look at it at a different angle. And sometimes that's all that it takes to have that light bulb just pop out. So you can really increase your knowledge about your suspensions and say, hey, I saw a bunch of these other ones, and hey, I kind of just like the one that I already have. Or in some cases, you go, oh my goodness, that is so much better than what I have. And not only can I usually pick it up there at the hang, I have someone there to make sure that I'm setting it up right and I'm using it correctly.
Right. So, but I think that about covers everything for the trip.
Yeah, I want to say a special thank you to Heather Beck and the rest of the Palmetto State Hanger board for putting on an amazing event. Like I said, it's one of Paul and I's favorite events to go to during the year. Thank you all the vendors that made that event possible. They would not have been able to raise the money that they have without you guys. So thank you so much for supporting our community through the Fall Sprawl event. And thanks to everybody that came out to the event. It was great seeing old faces. It was great seeing new faces. I know a gentleman that Cal and Kristen met from an Overland Expo maybe like a week before Fall Sprawl, had never hammock camped. This was his first ever hang period. And he came out and he had a blast, and he was also really, really great to me. So
yeah, that was Ray. I can't think of his. I don't know that I ever caught his last name.
Yeah, I have him friended on Facebook now because he was such a cool guy to talk to.
Right.
But I don't know his last name off the top of my head either.
He's already signed up for HangCon as well, so he's going to be down there.
Excellent. Another little tidbit about HangCon: if you want to purchase our super early raffle tickets, you can do that up until October 31st at midnight. So our super special raffle ticket means we normally sell our raffle tickets 5 for $20 at the event, but during this time you can actually get 7 for $20. So really great deal there if you hop on board and purchase your raffle tickets early.
And that's until October 31st. After October 31st, so from November 1st to December 31st, they go down to 6 for $20.
Which is still a really, really great deal versus buying them at the event. So get those tickets early. And if you're on the fence about signing up for HangCon, just send us a message if you have questions. And we are really looking forward to HangCon in 2023. We already have, can you believe it? We already have over 200 people registered for the event.
Yep. And I think I've already got, probably 8 or 10 new companies, new vendors to either donate or be there at the event.
Yeah. I'm super.
That's new on top of what we already had.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about all the vendors that we have coming because I know I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on some, but I'm really excited about a lot of the new vendors that we have coming this year.
Yes, we got quite a bit more coming this year than we have in the past. So, but all right, AJ. Well, I think we about covered everything for the trip report. So we will go ahead and sign out.
As always, Paul, it's good chatting with you.
Yep, and I will be having you back on here soon also, because I know there's several topics that I want to go over with you that will help people out. One of which I think will be our first episode that we do, hammock camping for bigger guys.
Yeah, it's an issue near and dear to my heart, and there's not a lot of really great information out there. As a current / former big guy, I have a lot of experience with that, and hopefully I can ease some fears that might help get a lot more folks that might think that they're too heavy for hammock camping out into the woods and enjoying this elevated lifestyle.
All right then. Well, I will get you back on for that. And until then, happy hanging, everybody.